Hello, my name is Abby Goodman of Abby Goodman Knits, and today I'm going to be demonstrating the Dandelion stitch, which you can see here as featured in my pattern, the Fool's Spring Mittens. This is a super simple stitch that can just be helpful to see kind of laid out so that you can kind of get a feel for it as you go. But it's really simple and really beautiful and should be really easy for you to pick up. It's a really fun part of this pattern. I am knitting continental style, so feel free to modify this as needed if you are an English knitter. And the first thing I'm gonna do is just knit to the part in the pattern where I'm gonna do my first dandelion. And as the pattern instructs, you're gonna go into the second stitch and you're gonna count 3 stitches down. So 1, 2, 3. Right there, I'm gonna insert my needle and I'm gonna wrap the yarn around so that I'm pulling a loop through that 3rd stitch. Now I have this loop on my right needle. I'm gonna just give it a little tug just to get it some slack, and that's my first stitch. Now I'm gonna knit 2. I'm gonna move my stitches up. And in that same stitch where I worked before, now you can see there's a little more of a hole there. I'm gonna insert again. I'm gonna pull up a loop. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna give it a little tug so that it has a little looseness. This really helps with the stitch definition, and so that this little hole down here doesn't get too big. And then I'm gonna do the same thing a 3rd time. I'm just gonna knit 2. And then this is probably the trickiest one, but I'm gonna go back into that same hole and I'm gonna pull up a loop. And this one you really want to give a good little tug right there. And so now you see I have 3 extra stitches here, and I'm going to do it one more time just for safekeeping. So 3rd stitch down, 1, 2, 3, on the 2nd needle. Make sure I do that right. 1, 2, 3. Insert my needle, pull up a loop, give it a little tug to get it nice and loose. 1 and 2. Into that same stitch, pull up a loop, and knit 2. And again, back into that hole, and we're gonna pull up a loop. And again, just give that a little tug so it's nice and loose. And then I will pause the video here, and then I'll pick it back up at the beginning of this row again when we do our decreases. All right, so we are back. And one thing I did want to mention too is that when the dandelion stitch is worked in the pattern, it is worked over 4 stitches. So we have 3 loops and 4 stitches that we're working with here. And so basically what we're going to do in this next round is to decrease those loops that we just pulled up. If I can get my yarn all finagled here. We're going to decrease those loops that we just pulled up. So in this case, we're just going to knit 1. But you would knit in pattern as it indicates, and we're going to knit this loop together with this stitch. And yep, we're just going to grab it, do a knit 2 together, knit 1, and then we're going to do the same thing for this middle stitch, knit 2 together, knit 1, This is why it's so important to keep those loops really loose when you're knitting them. And we're gonna knit 2 together. And you'll see that has kind of kept our little dandelions in place here. And will be nice and secure as we move forward with our pattern. So in this case, we're just gonna do another knit 1. And then we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna knit 2 together. Knit 1, knit 2 together, knit 1, and knit 2 together. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You're pretty much just using that decrease row, not to decrease the total number of stitches, but just to secure those previous guys. And the effect is really nice, and it creates this little floral pattern as you work. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you enjoy knitting the full spring mittens. You can find this pattern on my Ravelry and also on my Squarespace website. Thanks so much for watching.